Last week we did an episode regarding this weird time of August and this kind of like double-edged sword about how to feel about it. And today I want to go a little bit deeper on that trajectory, but more importantly is I want to talk to you, the teacher. I want to talk to you about how you're going to begin the year. What type of tone are you going to set? What type of things are you going to discuss with your students in those first couple of weeks, right? These so important types of weeks that we learn when we go to, through college and get our degrees about most primarily about that discipline, setting the boundaries, teaching the routines, doing all the things and really following through on those, for lack of a better word, threats. And while that's all good and dandy and very important, there is something else that I think needs to now be addressed and instilled, and it is as a teacher, your value of your students' health, their mental health and their physical health. Because I can tell you so many times when I had teachers begin their year, and I kind of just knew from day one, I just knew they didn't really care about me. They were doing their job, and that's fine. If you want to do your job, do your job. But if you're listening to this, it's probably because you want to do more than your job. You love what you do. It's a part of your identity. So how do we instill this part of ourselves and this importance that we place on our role as teachers to your students? There's a few different ways to do this, but I think all-encompassing, these are tactics, but all-encompassing, the one thing I think we need to do is develop a routine. Now, I am big on routines. It's been one of my biggest leaps forward into this world of personal development, because when it comes down to it, everything that we do consistently within a routine, you call it a habit, whatever you want, that is what gets followed through. That's what actually gets worked on. So, for instance, what are the routines that you're going to instill? Here's a real easy one, and you probably have already been told to do it, whether or not you are already doing it. And it's the easiest thing in the world, but not necessarily. No, excuse me. It's simple, not necessarily easy. And that is every single day waiting at the door in the hallway, welcome your students in the class. Like I said, I guarantee you've heard this before. And I guarantee many of you are doing it. But how many of you have done it for the first couple of weeks, and then things got a little crazy because we know the beginning of the year is nuts, and then every once in a while, and then like December rolls and we totally forgot about it. The idea, and I remember one or two teachers, I remember them doing this. Every single period of every single day, they were super 100% consistent with that. And what did that do? Well, when you talk about discipline, that already, you know this, that already shows the students before they're even getting to your classroom, they look at them, okay, like this teacher's serious. Like this, we're not probably going to be able to get away with what we usually do in Mrs. Jones's class. Yes, that works really well. But what else does it do? It depends on how you do this. If you stand out there and say, have this face that expresses the fact that you try one thing in here and you're done, right? Then that's going to be the thing that you're communicating with the students. If you are genuinely there because you're excited to see them, even the bad ones, even the tough cookies, if you're excited to see them, you got a big smile on your face and you're pumped. Now, listen, are you going to be pumped to do this every single day? No. But if you are there at the hallway, at the doorway, every single day, no matter what your face is, hopefully most of the time you're actually excited to see them, it will be this thing that you are known for. And it's not necessarily you're going to be talked about in the school because Mr. Johnson, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about it's going to be the thing that they expect. And the one day that they don't see you, they're going to say, whoa, what? Oh, it's a sub. What? Oh, God, there's something really wrong. He's at his desk or something like that. That tells the students that you care. You care about their presence. You care that they are in your class. You care about them becoming as best of a student from the material that you're going to teach, and best of a human being from the lessons that you're going to impart on them that they can. And I can tell you the way you communicate, like I said, the things that you do, the routines that you instill are super important. I remember Mrs. Finnemore. She was a 6th grade English teacher. Mrs. Finnemore, if you're listening to this, you have no idea who I am. You're definitely not listening to this, but I had like no relationship with you. But I'll never forget Mrs. Finnemore because I remember the first 3 days of school. Now, she was one of those like tough cookie teachers. She did not have a warm and giggly and smiley face and welcoming aura about her. It's okay. But at the same time, it was my first year in middle school. It's the first time changing classes, all these different notebooks. Everything was different. I was like, I was very overwhelmed. And it just happened to be that class, I was supposed to get something signed, like some type of student handbook or something by my mom. And I forgot the first day. So the second day, she was like, "You forgot? Kevin, this is not a good way to start." Like, I'm like, didn't like Sally also forget and Rob? Like, what is it? But like really came down to me. Third day, I forgot again. I mean, she made it like this was like, I'm not going to graduate 6th grade. Like it was that intense. Now, maybe it wasn't that intense. Maybe that's just how I was interpreting it as a 6th grader, a child. But either way, the thing, and this is really a good segue into our second routine that we can establish. Communicate the feeling that both you and the student might be feeling in the moment of the thing that you're trying to communicate. So for instance, if you are standing in front of the classroom and the first day you're going over your syllabus, you're going over your grading policy, wonderful. Here's the rubric, here's the 5-point blah, blah, right, whatever. Oh. But you're going through that. If you just go through that and move on to the next topic, students, first of all, are not going to, half of them are not even going to get it. The second half are just having an emotion about it. Some of them in that second half are saying, "Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to nail this class. This is easy." Blah, blah, blah. And the other quarter, if you will, they're going to be terrified because they're scared of having a bad grade. They're scared of failing or whatever. So if you go through this syllabus and just take 30 seconds, it doesn't have to be a long time because I know you're swamped for time for the beginning of the year. Take 30 seconds to explain to the students the big picture of life. Let them know, again, this is how this works, blah, 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 blah. This is the effect it'll have on you. And break it down. If you fail a quiz, that's okay. You don't have to be stressed about it. You have to obviously take that as a mark and say, all right, I have to then readjust. What do I have to do? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. If you get 100 throughout the entire year, you are not better than anybody else in this room. The other side of that coin, right? And you're explaining to them again that, and I mean, you could even say it's probably not a good idea, but you could even tell them about how the fact that this probably doesn't matter too much. Like, no, I wouldn't tell them that, but that's the kind of thing you want to, the feeling that you want to express to them. If you care about their mental health, if you care about the ones who are super stressed, and you care about the ones who don't give a crap about their grade, both of those students matter. And not only what you say to them, it's how you say it and how you package it. So what real life thing are you going to package with this? So again, it may not be the fact that you say, "Oh, these grades don't matter in the grand scheme of your life," but you may be able to say, "Hey, you have 365 days a year. If you live to a ripe old age of 85, you have however many thousands and thousands and thousands of days," or whatever that math is. Or you could show them that 90-year calendar that I've talked about before from Tim Urban. And you can give them the little bit of perspective that they need, that they don't necessarily have to be so stressed, or they have to kind of realize that this also matters a little bit. Either way. So establishing those types of routines. And the last thing I would say is find, again, a routine to let them know about the fact that you are open to hearing about their issues in one way or the other. Whatever that routine looks like, you are open to communication. You welcome them to share how they're feeling, and if they need help, you may not be the one to be able to help them. You may have to send them off to the guidance counselor or the social worker or whatever. But you want to make sure that that routine is established, if you choose to, that you are open and willing to hear their issues and help them with their issues. So that may be like, hey, here's a box on my desk. And this is probably not the most secure way to do this from other students, but just a random example off the top of my head. Here's a box on my desk. If you have any issues that you want to discuss on, but you want to be, remain anonymous or whatever, write it on an index card, put it in that box, and I'll review it and I'll address it as a class if it's anonymous. And if it's obviously important enough. If you want to put your name on it and you want me to address you in private, I can certainly do that too. Or if you want to just come up and talk to me at any point, before or after class, I'd be more than happy to help you. I want to see you succeed as a human being. I got to teach you math. Yes, I have to make sure you know the history, the Civil War, whatever. But I want to make sure that you are a healthy and happy individual, because the best way I know how to teach math and history and science is to teaching a healthy and happy student. Otherwise, you're going to be dealing with real life stuff. No one really cares about the 5th or 6th president if they're going home to a broken home. If they're, going home and, there is drugs at home and there's an issue with your mom and blah, 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 or whatever, someone's sick, like that's the real stuff. That's the real things that these kids are going through. So these are 3 random examples of routines that I would suggest you implementing, but you may not like one of them, you may not like all of them. But either way, there's little routines that you can do. A friend of mine is a teacher in Queens, and he is a band director, and every Monday he takes 5 minutes. Now, as a band director, your time is super precious, because you have a pack-up time, you have warm-up time, and then you have to put a concert on, a display of your abilities as a teacher for the entire community. No pressure. So his time is extremely precious, and he devotes every Monday, he calls it Monday Musings, and it's 5 minutes, and he discusses a little bit about what mental health type of practices that he's learning or going through, or if someone else wants to share. So he shows his students in that routine, the way he's established, that he cares about them. And this time of August, going into September, we have a few more weeks, more than enough time to really think through. By the time this goes out, maybe like 1 week left, which is fine. It's fine. You have more than enough time to think through what you would like to establish in your classroom. What type of routine that shows you care. So thank you so much. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I totally really enjoyed talking about this. I'm excited for you to start the year. If you like today's video, then definitely hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification to be notified every time I release a new video. And if you like today's episode, then I think you'll really like this video right over here.